A lot of non-technical people has been asking me about what the best way is in 2025 to build an online marketplace. And a lot of them have been experimenting with Lovable and also with V0 to build their marketplaces, but they get stuck. And why do they get stuck? That is because Lovable and also V0, they're definitely cool tools, I'm not saying that, but they will only take you to a certain point where you will then be stuck with a code base that you have no idea what does, you have no idea what language it's been building in, and then you're stuck there and you don't have a production ready online marketplace. So that is why I've been telling them that the best way to build an online marketplace, if you want full flexibility, that is to basically become an AI marketplace developer fast. And in order to become an AI marketplace developer, you will need to know the fundamentals. You don't need to know exactly how to code everything because you're going to be using AI for doing that, but you do need to know the fundamentals of programming. And that is why I built this course for non-technical people to very quickly become an AI marketplace developer. My name is Rasmus and I am what you could call an online marketplace expert. So I love building online marketplaces and I've recently been building 4 of them. So one of them is this one called Naughty Mugs, which is a marketplace for buying and selling Moomin mugs. Another one is this one called You're My Star, which is a marketplace where you can both make and sell stars on this marketplace. And then I also have what is called Speedbuild Marketplace, which is a boilerplate for quickly building a marketplace if you are technical. But then I also have this new course for non-technical people for quickly becoming an AI marketplace developer so that you can build an awesome online marketplace just the way you want to fast. So let's go through what you need to know in order to become an online marketplace developer. First of all, you need to know the very fundamentals. So how the internet works, and you also need to know what is a developer console and to install a code editor. So you need to know about domain name, you need to know about hosting, you need to know what is a web page, URL, and what is DNS settings. So all of these are basics for understanding how the internet works. And the terminal, you can quickly open that one here by just typing in terminal, opening it like this. This is basically the terminal, and from here you can do a lot of cool stuff. You also have a terminal in your code editor. So here I have just opened Cursor, which I'm using at the moment for coding because I find it the best one at the moment. So here you can see that I also have a terminal, and here I can then write different stuff. Like if I wanted to open my project in development, I could do it like this, and now you can see that it is running on localhost 3000. So these are the fundamentals you need to know about in the very beginning. And once you know about the very basics, then you can move on to actually first of all prompting your first web page just using ChatGPT. In the course I'll show an example of how you can do that, but right now you can just go to ChatGPT and ask it to make you a very simple website, and then it will do that for you. Try that, and always just use AI all the time for asking about stuff. So if there's something you are unsure about, ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT is your new best friend. Forget about Google. ChatGPT is the go-to friend now. Then after that, you will have to know the fundamentals about what is a web page. So a web page consists of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And remember that on any web page, you can click on the FN and on F12 if you're using a Mac, and then you can basically see the elements of any web page. So here you can see there's a head, and then there's also a body here, right? And then you can just inspect it to figure out, okay, how is this actually built? And you can always just ask ChatGPT if there's something you are unsure about. So that is a great way to basically learn how web pages are structured. So go ahead and do that all the time if there's something you are not sure about. And after you know the fundamentals about building a web page, then we would move on to actually picking a tech stack, because the truth is no one is building in pure HTML, CSS and JavaScript anymore, even though it would be possible, but it would just take you a long time to do it that way. So everyone is using libraries and frameworks for building now. And I'm always using on the front end Next.js, React and Tailwind and DaisyUI for styling, and on the back end you can also use Next.js and just host it on Vercel, and Vercel Vercel is the company behind Next.js. And again, Next.js is a framework for React, and React is a JavaScript library. And the reason why I'm using Tailwind, CSS, and DaisyUI is basically just because, well, for Tailwind, it's just easier to write the commands. So as you can see here, it's very easy to write text gray 600, for instance, for making the text gray. And for DaisyUI, that is just a very cool library on top of Tailwind that makes it very easy to make beautiful buttons and beautiful themes. So it just makes it very easy to quickly come up with something that looks very good, and then you don't have to use a lot of time on trying to fit this color to this other color. You just pick a theme, for instance, on DaisyUI, and then you are ready to go, basically. And as we were saying before, it's important to know the basics of how the terminal works, and also very important to set up your computer so you're basically ready for coding, right? So you will have to install Node.js, setting up Next.js, and also you will have to create an account on Github, which is basically a Google Drive for your code, so that you can basically push and pull your code to GitHub and store it there. And in the course, we're using GitHub Desktop. That just makes it a little bit easier to understand how to push and pull your code to GitHub. And everything is explained on how to install it and set that up. And again, if you haven't used GitHub before, it is just a Google Drive for your code basically, and it's pretty cool because you then have all your repositories here. You can also see how many contributions you made this year, last year, and so on. And then there are a couple more things that you have to be aware of and have installed. So for instance, you have to have a package manager. So in the course, I explain everything about what is a package.json file, how to install something, how to run something in your terminal. So for instance, like I was doing just before, when I was typing in npm run dev, that is how you basically start your development server, but you can also do an npm run build or an npm run start. So all of that is being explained. Then a little bit about the Next.js architecture, and then what is a linter. So basically a linter is just a helper that makes it a little bit easier for you to not make mistakes when you are coding. So most developers are basically using linters. You should also know about Git, so how to add a commit, how to push, and what is the git ignore file. And then once you have this set up, then you will start to build your front end, but you will be using AI all the time, of course. So you will not be writing any code yourself. You will just be prompting the AI to build for you. But again, the reason why you need to know the basics is that if you prompt something and you don't understand what the AI is telling you, then it will be very difficult to basically build your online marketplace. But now that you know the basics and soon about React, Next.js, Tailwind, and DaisyUI, then you'll be able to build an awesome online marketplace using AI. So basically prompting your online marketplace. So you will learn about React, Next.js, Tailwind, and DaisyUI. We already talked about DaisyUI and Tailwind, but React again is a JavaScript library and Next.js is a framework for React. So you'll know what is a component, use effect, props, and all of the basics here, and also what is a server and what is a client component, which is very important to understand. Then in Next.js, you will learn about what is a page.js and what is a layout.js. You can choose, by the way, to build in JavaScript or in TypeScript. That is a little bit up to you, but I always recommend the first time you build something to just build in JavaScript. And after you build your front end, you will learn about how to then deploy it to Vercel. So Vercel is basically a company behind Next.js, and there you can basically host your projects. So as you can see here, I have all my projects on Vercel, and it is super easy to use. You basically just connect your GitHub account to Vercel, and then every time you push to GitHub, then it will automatically also push your changes to your live environment. So that is a super easy way to basically host your projects. And then you also have to then go and get a domain name and set up the DNS records. So that is also explained in the course. I have all my domain names on one.com, but you can also go and buy a domain name on GoDaddy and on a number of other ones out there, but it doesn't really matter. They all work the same way. And once you're done with the front end part, it's all about also building the backend then, and you will be building the backend in the same repository as the front end because we're building in Next.js, and it's totally fine to then also have the backend in the same repository. That is actually the recommended approach from Next.js. Next.js. So we will learn all about how to create API endpoints. So that is all about route.js, HTTP request, post, get, put, delete, and so on. What is fetch, async, await, what is a promise, try catch, and so on. That is important to know to be able to communicate well with the AI. Then we will also set up a database, and in the course we are using MongoDB. But you will also learn about what is a normal SQL database. And you will also know what is environment variables and how to use them in your so-called .env file. Authentication is also very important for any online marketplace, because you need to have an area where you need to log in, and then you can create listings there, for instance, or you can see your listings and so on. And for that you need authentication. So in the course it is being explained how to use ClerkAuth for all of this. Also it is explained how to use providers such as Google and Facebook for login, or a magic link, so that you don't have to store passwords, but you just click a button and then a link is sent to your email, for instance. That is the more modern way of logging in users, what are cookies, and so on. You also need to know how to set up emails so that you can send transactional emails, for instance, whenever someone buys something on your marketplace. So all of that is being explained. And then a very important area for any online marketplace owner, so that you as the marketplace owner can start earning money, is how to set up Stripe Connect for charging money on your marketplace. So first of all, what is Stripe? But then more importantly, actually, as a marketplace owner, what is Stripe Connect? Because Stripe Connect is Stripe's solution for marketplace owners. So how do you set that up, and how do you take a cut, for instance, on all transactions that are being made on your marketplace? Because that is how most marketplace owners earn money. So all of that is being explained in the course. Security is also an important area, and here you can again, of course, ask AI to create your middleware and create secure endpoints and so on. Then there's the advanced area that is also a part of the course. This is if you want to dig deeper into certain areas, like for instance how to set up good SEO on your marketplace, and also what is the local storage on. So the local storage, for instance, is a kind of like a database that you can use in your browser for storing certain stuff temporarily. And last but not least, I'm explaining how you can build 100 times faster using AI, so that you can quickly build your marketplace, solve the chicken and the egg issue, and then become rich. I'm explaining how you can use Cursor for building your online marketplace using AI, and currently I'm using the 4.0 model from Claude, which is honestly amazing. And I'm also explaining how to use the chat composer, the autocomplete, and the context area within Cursor to basically build 100 times faster. So basically, if you are non-technical and you are considering building an online marketplace, then I really encourage you to check out my other video where I dig deeper into my course. It's actually a 3-hour long video on how to build an online marketplace using AI. So check that one out. I put it in the description. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. See you. Bye bye. Ciao.